Alright, I got a new customer, so it's time to get to work. It's about 30 degrees, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So, safety first. Time to get started. Alright, so first things first, I have to plane my boards. You will see here that I do have to push some of my boards through, and that's simply because the boards that I planed before this, they had a lot of sap, and it ended up ruining the rollers. I do clean them at some point though. As with planing all boards, just make sure to flip them over and take care of any of the negative areas. Not too late to try again, we can find a little start anew. And of course I found out that I had to change my table saw blade as well. It was too dulled out from that last set that I had worked on. I absolutely love this table saw. You can see how quickly it is to change out these blades. Because a cool mistake, yet hope remains. Can I have you back, heal these pains? Just make sure the teeth point towards you and not away. Piece by piece. It's not too late to try again. We can't find love new side by side. Who would have thought this chance we have? Don't let it go. Now I'll take my boards and I'll rip them all down. I generally like to make sure that I have them at a standard length and width. This will help me in the long run because not all boards are perfectly straight. Here I am trying to plan out how I want these boards to look. One really important thing you'll see here is I'm checking the grain. You want to make sure that they go in opposite directions as shown here. If you don't, it can cause your board to start to warp in one direction or the other. So you just need to make sure that you're flipping as you go. Alright, so I have now jimmy rigged something together with a nail on the center and a string I had laying around the house. And I'm going to use it since I don't have any great way of getting the 36 inches drawn. And to be honest, I wasn't really sure how well this was going to work, but afterwards I measured it and it turned out really well. My next step here is getting ready to biscuit the boards together. As you can see here, I'm zooming in. The boards actually had a little bit of warp in them, and how I go about this is I just put a couple extra biscuits in there to help pull the boards together. As I'm labeling these, I make sure to number them so that once I create all the biscuits, I can easily put these boards back together in the way that I had planned. This is my biscuit joiner. I have set the depth based on the thickness and made sure that it's at 90 degrees. That red line there shows you exactly where that biscuit is going to be located so that you know right where you have to outline it. I will then line up that center line with every mark that I made on the boards. And rewrite my life story. Gratitude, my God, I give to you for every. Now here I'm propping the boards up and getting ready to put the biscuits in them. I use size 20, it's the largest size and my most favorite go-to. I like to make sure that they fit within the holes before I start the gluing process because sometimes these biscuits get a little bit thick and they don't fit in. I have now applied the glue and I am putting the boards together. Sometimes the biscuits don't like to just slide into place properly, so I will place some scrap wood I have on the outside and I'll slowly start to clamp them inwards. You can see I also started to prepare for when I do have them fully clamped together so that I can make sure that the boards aren't warping upwards as well. This will help keep the piece flat in the long run. For every day and every breakthrough, your love's the light that guides my way. Your care leads me through each day. Thank you, Lord, for loving me so. Your presence is all I'll ever. Right here I'm using a chisel just to scrape off any of the extra glue that leaked out. This will just make the sanding process a lot easier in the long run. Now that the board is dry, I'm going to cut the circle out using my jigsaw. I'm making sure I leave some space, and this will allow me to sand later and make sure that I don't overcut. Alright, she's cut out. So as you can see here, I left about 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch around here. I'm going to sand it and then we'll get ready to route her. Here I'm taking my belt sander and sanding to the line like I had shown just before. It is also important here not to push too hard because you don't want to burn the wood. I made several rounds as I was trying to clean this up just to make sure that I didn't overdo it. I kept my piece rotating just to be sure that I didn't burn it. Next up, everyone's favorite part is sanding. I make sure that I start off at 80 grit, make it look all fine the way I want to, and then I'll move up from there. I'll go to 120, 220, and end at my 320. Now, of course, I gotta flip it over and do the other side, and here it is, all done. Isn't that just a gorgeous piece? Per the customer's request, I am staining this. I chose this color because I thought it matched closely with the logo, the nice wood log on it. I will put a couple of coats on here and then I will wipe it down so that it looks nice and neat. See here that the grain structure really absorbs a lot of the stain. It really helps it pop. If you are looking for it to be darker all around, you can do several coats or just put on a really thick layer and not wipe it down later. Up to the sky, ooh, yeah. No need to cry. Oh, God is night. Oh, how great is our God. Using an outdoor poly. I chose this because the sign is meant to be an outside sign, and I wanted to make sure that we had something that the sun and the weather was not going to destroy. I will also put several coats on here, both on the outside and on the back side. In between each of these coats, I'm going to sand. This will provide a nice smooth surface for me to apply the logo on later. so complete. Oh, how great is our God? Love so broad. Sing it loud. Oh, stand so proud. Oh. I've now laid the logo on top just to make sure that the color is what I was looking for. I absolutely love it, so now it's time to peel it off and stick it on. These little leaves were actually really difficult to get to stay in place. However, I did make it work. Once you remove all the bubbles, I just used an old credit card covered by a piece of fabric so that I didn't scratch it. I smoothed it out, and then here I am applying those coats of poly again. I do apply 3 more coats just to make sure that I have a nice layer to protect it in case any weather might interact with it. And here's your final piece. If you want to hear the story, I'll link it below. Once again, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, feel free to like, share, comment, or subscribe.